Hi, for today we're going to talk about Chinese business culture and values. So, for the languages in the modern China, there are over 302 languages exist in modern China. And there are also a lot of main language and dialect because China has been baptized for thousands of years, mix of variety, culture, custom, and new language communication. So China is the beginning of so many languages and dialect in China, and widely know the dialect is Chinese, Cantonese, and beginning of Chinese language. Nevertheless, Chinese has others such as the Mandarin Cantonese, Xianghuizhou Mandarin Chinese, Minwu Cantonese, Jinggan Hakka, and Hakka Pinyin, such as Bai and Tibet, which are inextricably linked to the Chinese language and belong different branch, but they are indeed at the branch of the Chinese language. So let's talk about simplified Chinese and traditional Chinese. In our life, we can always see that there are two kinds of selectivity and in the keyboard of our cell phone, which is simplified Chinese and traditional Chinese, and they do not involve in any difference of spoken language. But the main difference is that because traditional Chinese is too complicated, thus the simplified Chinese were born. All right, let's talk about geography. To get the bottom of it, why China has a very large of language, that's for sure. China's population at the time is not so much, but the population is enough to support a civilization because people are living separately in different areas. The geography is not the same, the intercourse is scarce, the days will go in different direction. But to these days, with the advancement of technology, the legacy is the essence of civilization left behind at the time, and people's interaction and network has become quite complex. All right, let's come to the religions. It's a constitute a large part of Chinese culture. There are five major of categories of this religion, which is Taoism, Buddhism, Islam, Catholicism, and Christianity. Um, let's say that at the second century, and it has a history of 1,700 years, mainly worshipping figures, ghosts, and God from the spring autumn period. Its ancestor was Lao Tzu, and doctrine seeks to bring out the meaning of omniscience, in which all the believers are expected to cultivate virtue. At the time of founding of New China, Taoism as a whole was the decline, so it was reformed under the policies of the Communist Party of China to bring it back to the public, and it has nearly 2,000 years of development. All right, so for Buddhism, it has introduced in China for about 2,000 years, religious in China, and at the time it was introduced into China during the Han Dynasty. The country where it was introduced was ancient China, ancient India, where Hinduism is now prevalent. The founder, Sinta Chohamma, they often known as Buddha, meaning the enlightened one. Buddhism was split into three different kind of Buddhism, namely Chinese Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, Southern Theravada Buddhism. All right, let's talk about the Chinese Islam was first introduced in Xinjiang during Tang and Song dynasties in 7th century. Islam is divided into two main sects, Sunni and Shia, and it was mainly to Sunnis in China. So nowadays, Islam has spread into 5 continents, which is about 1.5 billion followers, accounting for over one over 5 of the world's total population, and more than 40 countries have adopted it as their state religion. All right. So when we come to the comparison with both respondents, the similarities is that they both are using Hanyi as their main language. As we all know that it's not only for those from the respondents, is that the entire country has used Mandarin Chinese as their first language. So the other similarities is that they are in a same circumstances, which means even though they are apart from each other, let's say for example, there are two villages, they are apart from each other, but then what they are facing is actually the same circumstances. So when we come to differences, they have diverse dialect of languages, which mean for those who are from Guangzhou, they will mainly have Cantonese as their dialect, and even though Mandarin is their first language, but they will still use Cantonese as their priority language. So also that the daily life and festival, um, for every kind of regions, they are having their own festival, and but uh, let's say about the Mid Autumn is for the entire country. All right, let's talk about theory vs respondents. In comparison with the results of the literature search and the result of the interview, it can be seen that China is a very large number of languages, as the two interviewees said. However, these languages are limited by the region and transportation is not developed at the time. So there is not much intercourse between people. So a group of people have developed their own culture. All these have their found information. Religious believe that the key to the civilization, because of the introduction of Buddhism in India and the development of local Taoism and other religions. Thank you.